Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for the Untangled Tech Talk series. Today we'll be walking you through the installation and configuration process of our NG Firewall solution to ensure that you have a successful deployment. My name is Shannon Miles and I'm part of the product marketing team here, and I'll be your host today. I also have with us our Director of QA, John Coffin, who will be taking us through this installation configuration process and of course answering any questions along the way. Next slide, John. Thank you. So just a few housekeeping rules before we get started. Make sure you are selecting the correct audio preference on the right-hand side. If you do select to use a phone, you will need to dial in and use the access code provided. As always, we have a slew of people on board to help answer questions, so please be sure just to submit those questions in the Q&A box on the chat box on the right-hand side. This is a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, so you don't have to worry. You can rewatch or revisit areas that you need to follow up on, and you can, of course, share this webinar with any of your colleagues. And if we don't get to any of your questions, you can always email us at sales@untangle.com or support@untangle.com. Now, before I pass this over to John, just want to reiterate that this is a highly technical webinar, so if you're not familiar with Untangle or networking concepts, then I would suggest you take a look at our 101 webinar series, as those cover more higher level topics. And you can view all of our upcoming webinars as well as past webinars on our website. And with that, I'll pass it over to John.
Thanks, Shannon. Really appreciate that. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll kind of cover quite a few subjects here. So one of the things that a lot of people gave feedback on last time we gave this webinar is, where do I get untangled? So I thought I'd go through that process a little bit. If you go to our website and then go to downloads, and you'll be able to get Untangle in several forms. You can install it from a CD image, which you'll download the image and then burn that to a CD, or as a USB image, which in turn you write that out to a USB. Makes it a lot easier than trying to find, one-time use CDs. And then we also have the OVA, which is if you're going to use a VM appliance, you can actually import us directly and avoid a couple of steps. You actually don't have to go through the hardware installer. And of course, you have the choice of 64 or 32-bit, depending on how much memory your device is going to have. Really pretty simple. I just download it. I'm going to choose a VMware appliance for our demonstration, so it's easier to see it on the screen. Overall, I kind of recommend a hardware install, which is an ISO or image install. If you're going to have your own hardware, or if you're going to just buy it directly from our store, you can actually buy the hardware directly with the software already installed. But if you're going to download it and you're going to use it, I would definitely recommend hardware install. It does work on VMware, but you do have to have some technical expertise with VMware to use it effectively. With that, I will get back to our configuration. There's some things you should decide on before installing Untangle. First is bridge or router mode, and this is really whether you're going to NAT your traffic or you're just going to scan your traffic as it comes across the wire. Really the choice is, are you getting a public IP address or mobile IP addresses from your internet provider? That can either be DHCP, where they provide it automatically when you plug it in, or it could be they gave you a set of IP addresses to configure your router and so forth. So really that's the choices you have. If your ISP modem is giving you what's known as a private address, which is like a 192, 180, 168 address or 10.00 address, that's a private address, and you probably should use bridged. So I'll get real quick to here. I'll go ahead and start up my VM player, and I've downloaded my VM player, so I'm just going to go ahead and install that. and I have it right here. So I just downloaded the OVA, and I installed it in my VM player. So I'll go ahead and start that box. And let me enlarge this a little bit so you can see it better. And for the people installing on hardware, you're going to get the same kind of screen once you get past the hardware wizard. So it's just going to ask you some questions like which hard drive do you want to install on, and go forward. And then once it goes through the process, you'll get to this screen when it reboots. And this is what's known as the setup wizard. It's going to help you configure the IP addresses and how your network is designed. The key about Untangle while it's starting up is that you should always have, the traffic has to pass through the Untangle. So it must go in through the internal NIC and go out the external. You can't have the traffic go across it. It can't read the traffic as it goes across one NIC. It has to actually pass through it. So your Untangle must be the kind of the central point of the traffic going through out to the internet. Let's see here. Just waiting for my Untangle to start. Usually it doesn't take that long to start up, so I might have an issue here. So let's go ahead and try one of my other ones. And let's just try here. Sorry, it's taking a little longer, and for some reason it wasn't starting up as quickly as I usually planned. So once we get the setup wizard, we're going to input a lot of our network information. It's pretty simple to do. While that's starting up, let me see if I can get another instance running. So this is an Untangle that's already set up. And while that's running, I can let's try one of these 16 ones, see if this will load faster. So while that's loading, I can show you some examples of more of a router base. So I'll just go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and run the configuration again on this particular box. So if we go to support, we can actually run the setup wizard again. So we're going to say yes. Let's go ahead and run that. Oh, must have heard me because the other one is running now. So this is your VMware. We'll start. Unfortunately, this one was already set. So let me try one other here. Let's go ahead and exit that. We'll wait for that one to start up. So here's the setup wizard. You'll get this welcome message once you get the Untangle started. You can go ahead and it's going to ask you for the password. The password's kind of critical because it also applies to SSH. So you want to have a strong password. Definitely recommend it, at least 8 characters, caps, special characters, all that. Definitely make sure you have a strong password on this. You can enter your email address so you can get reports, alerts also to your email address. You want to set the time zone to whatever time zone you're at. There's quite a list here. You want to make sure your network connectors are working. You should have green lights, at least 2. So I'm going to have my external one, my internal interface, and in this case it has a dual WAN, so I have a second WAN that's also connected. You can move these around too if you want to have these in a different order, like let's say your external is actually on ETH1. You can move this around at this point. Right here I'm going to configure my IP address. Here's an example of a static address. I got this IPs from my provider, so I'm going to go ahead and set those up. This is going to be a router mode configuration. So I have my router mode. Here's I'm going to put in my internal network and my network mask. Again, this is a router mode, so I'm going to use DHCP for all my LAN devices so they can get IP addresses. So I see my VMware finally started. One thing it was missing on this rerunning the setup wizard is it does allow you to select the language that you want to see during the setup wizard. So I can change that to a language I'm more comfortable with and go through, and my whole device will be in that languages. It also can extract the languages based on our community support. So we have a website where you can actually translate the product to multiple languages depending on what you're familiar with. Pretty strong on our community support is Brazilian Portuguese, Spanish, and Chinese and Japanese are quite heavily used, and so they're quite supported. Again, you can see that more on our Poodle site to see all the languages that are used for our translations. And these are all community supported. So if you can help translate our product into a language you're familiar with, please go to the Poodle site and start translating parts of the product. You can do part of it, and it's all submitted directly on the web interface. You don't even have to have Untangle installed. So I'll go ahead and choose my language. And we went this through the password, setting up passwords. I'm going to put email is optional, so you don't actually have to put that in. Again, I have the minimum NIC connectors. In this case, I'm using DHCP, and I'm automatically getting an IP address by my router. So I'll go ahead and select that. I'm going to go ahead and choose router mode, but again, if I don't have a public IP address, I would probably choose transparent bridge mode. Now, as you can see, there's only about 5 questions we have to answer to get our network up and running. Pretty straightforward. We do have a lot of the defaults that we'll configure for you, but we do need some parts of the network, questions about the network that we use to configure the device. Automatic install updates. These are updates to the system itself. Excuse me. This is, for example, if you're on 12.1, you have automatic updates selected. When we release 12.2, your machine will automatically update at a time that you set. By default, it's usually set at like 11, sometime around 11 o'clock at night. It will automatically upgrade, and in the morning you'll see it upgraded to the latest version as soon as it's available. This is not updates for the virus scanning or the web categorization updates. Those are automatic. If you unselect this, excuse me, you will still get all the virus updates and web categorization and IPS updates. This is solely for the versioning of Untangle. If you want to always be on the latest one, definitely check that. I usually leave it checked. Connecting to the Untangle cloud. This gives you 2 options. First, if you connect to the cloud, you'll get our new Scout IQ, which allows us to detect viruses before they become signatures for the virus scanner. Based on the traffic that's happening on other Untangles, we have kind of a cumulative effect. So, and also there's a cloud virus scanner that we have that is enabled by selecting this. You also need to select this if you want to get support and have our support technicians help you with your particular configuration. So again, last question. We're going to go ahead and start up on Untangle. So it's configuring. So we're saying, okay, the Untangle is configured. Now we need to have our Untangle connected to our account. Our account is where we have our licensing, where we have our backup configs in case we have to restore it. It also provides future features that we'll have on the store to be able to connect to your Untangle. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with my account. I already have an account, and I want to assign this particular box to my account. Okay, so now my box is matched with the account that I already had. And you can create a new account also at the same time if you don't have an account yet. So, excuse me. We highly suggest, and now you've configured Untangles before, just install the recommended apps. Apps are easy to install and uninstall. So this kind of gives you a good set to start with. So I'm going to go ahead and say, do the recommended. So it's going to populate with all the standard ones like web filter. It's going to give you the virus blockers, bandwidth control, intrusion prevention. Be set. If you don't have a license, it's going to give you a free trial license for 14 days, so you can try those apps out. If after the 14 days, you can either purchase the licenses for that or install the complimentary free versions of web filter and web monitoring. So really that's the main part of configuration. Once you get to this port, your LAN traffic should be able to pass through and connect by standing on that. For example, like the web filter, just waiting for it to be done. The web filter will have the basic categories like malware will be blocked, pornography, certain suspicious sites. Those will all be blocked by default. So that will give you a good idea of kind of the standard categories. Now you can go ahead and check more categorization. We'll go through that in a second once this is complete. Of course, it's going to install reports. Back here, yeah, start with the recommended apps. I usually do install intrusion prevention. Key thing about intrusion prevention, it's a high memory usage. So if you don't have more than 2 gigs, I don't recommend installing it. Let's see, I think we're just about done here. So let's go take a look. While this one's working. Some of the things that I personally configure on, I like to get certain kinds of alerts from my boxes when there's certain issues. So I'll go ahead and take a look at the settings on that. Let's try it over here. And we're going to reports. So by default, like I said, you'll have some basic categorizations blocked. And you can go ahead, anonymize sites, botnets, compromised sites, really things that you choose. Like, I might go through and check off things like online ads. Go ahead and block those. I might go ahead and say, I'm going to go ahead and block streaming video and so forth and make those changes to it. One of the other things I like to do is set up my alerts, so I get email alerts if there's something happening with the Untangle. There'll be several checked already. I want to make sure my email address is also in there, so I'll go ahead and go to my administration. I want to make sure my email's in there so I get the alerts. Then, I might go in and also add my host name to my device so I can tell which box is which. So I'll say, I'll just say this is the gateway, and I'll give it some short name like West, and then I'll set my domain here. And that way that box will have a valid host name to it. Like me on that one. Probably because the host name's set. So I'll go ahead and set those kind of items up. Some of the other things I'm going to set up if I need to manage this box remotely where I'm not on site, we'll go ahead and we're going to go ahead and make this available on the outside. By default, there's no open ports on the outside of the Untangle. That's just the maximum security that you can have. But if I know I have a strong password for administration, I'm going to go ahead and open the administration out to the internet. So I'm going to allow SSH, and I'm going to allow HTTPS on my WANs, which means the website, someone can log into my Untangle from the outside. So again, it's very critical to have a very strong password on your Untangle, because if you put weak passwords, very short, people are just going to guess your password, and eventually they're going to log in and compromise your site. So again, make sure you only check those boxes if you have a strong password. The other way you can do it is through VPN, where you VPN to your Untangle and then administrate it from the inside. Let's take a quick look here. So we went over emails, the host name, set up alerts so they will work. And so some more advanced networking that you may have to do. Let's say you get quite a few IPs from your ISP. Let's take a look at that. So let's say you have more than one public IP address. So you're going to go ahead and add those to your Untangle. So you have 5 IPs that can be directed different devices behind the Untangle. So I'll go ahead and go to my networking. And my external interface. And then see, I would add the IP addresses here. So I just say, okay, I have another IP. From my ISP, I'm going to go ahead and add that. So, and then put the network mask provided by ISP. So there'll be 3 IPs here that can that will go directly to my Untangle. So when someone on the internet goes to this IP address, or this one, they'll be able to reach my IP, or I can port forward those instead. So for example, I'll go ahead and then I can create special port forwards. For example, I want to port forward, I'll go to something, switch to advanced, and instead of local, which means any IP address that goes to my box, I'm going to say a specific address. So I'm going to say one of my IPs that I just put in the alias. I'm going to say if someone goes to this address and this port number, I'm going to send them off to one of my web servers that's behind my Untangle. So I'll say, and here's my web server. So I'm going to go ahead and send it to this particular one only if they come on this IP address. So that's the whole use of aliases in port forwarding. Again, the port forwards. Remote administration of the Untangle we went over. Again, I can't stress enough that if you do select these 2 boxes in the advanced networking rules, that you have to make sure you have a very strong password on Untangle. So some of the other things, if you're running into problems, some of your boxes behind the Untangle cannot reach the internet, I highly recommend going to your session viewer. And I'll show you an example of that. So starting interface. So once you get set up, and I'll go here to my session viewers. Now this is every session that's on my box. I'll by my LAN address. Super by this field. So I can say, oh, this box seems to be having problems getting the internet. So I can take a look to see what the box is doing, where it's going to, if it's taking any bandwidth. I can see what kind of connections it's trying to make. If your PC is not going to the internet and you don't see it on the session viewer, it's probably not using this Untangle to get out to the internet. And you have to probably figure out on the configurations how that works. Some of the other things, the other tools that are pretty useful is the networking trouble tools. So if we go to config, networking, and troubleshooting, we have a series of tests that can tell if my Untangle is connected. This will tell you if it's connected to the internet. Really sim. It'll tell you which of these tests fail, whether it's DNS, TCP connectivity, so forth. Some of the other ones are DNS. If you're having some weird DNS, you can type in different addresses and see if you can resolve those to see if your DNS is working. Some of the more, you have a connection test. You can see if you can connect to a particular area. So I'm going to see if I can connect to Google on port 80. It works fine. So I know this box is pretty well connected to the internet. These are the kind of things that can really help you. Definitely, if you have problems connecting or any kind of configurations, or you just have questions on like, how can I do X? Please post them to the forums. We are pretty active. We have over 4 employees just spending time on the forums asking questions. You can actually ask questions directly to developers if you're interested in those.
Hey, John.
And that's pretty much it.
Hey, John.
See if we have any questions.
Yeah. Can you hear me, John?
Or anything specific on any questions we have.
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Quick look here.
So it seems like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. John can't seem to hear me.
Any particular questions out there?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me? Okay. So sorry about that. Hopefully he can hear me.
Okay. Any specific questions? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so we seem to have a little bit of technical issues with our sound. I think there's a sound delay. John, we had some questions about WebFilter or WebFilter Lite and how that went away for version 12.2. If you can hear me, maybe we can go into that a little more.
Okay, so sure. So on WebFilter Lite, the way it works is that we had a database that had category sites. Unfortunately, that database has not been maintained by the community, so it was probably over 7 years old. So one of the things we did, we we really wanted to get a good experience. And while WebFilter Lite does block sites, the categorizations are so old, it was pretty much at the point of being kind of useless. So we came up with some, we kind of made a deal, and we're able to offer our categorization of WebFilter in something called WebFilter Lite. Oh, I'm sorry, Web Monitor. So let me just show that. And really, it's WebFilter without blocking. So it does provide a good insight into the type of sites that your network is going to. Let me just see if I can get this loaded on. And that's the reasons why WebFilter Lite is being removed, and in place is Web Monitor. Much better categorization, really commercial version with oh, I need to remove my license in order to get that. So you get the same categorizations as WebFilter, you just don't get the blocking. So it's a way to manage your networking through policy without having the expense of a subscription. Again, if you want to have automatically where it automatically blocks on certain categorizations, you really need to buy the WebFilter paid version as opposed to having Web Monitor.
Okay.
Looks like most of the questions were answered. While this this webinar is kind of quick, it kind of goes through. Please feel free to review the video and also ask questions on the forums. We're definitely on there.
Yes, thank you, John. I know we're
go ahead, Shannon.
We're having some technical issues with the delays, so I'm going to take back control just quickly to finish up this webinar. If you have any issues or you're just confused and not sure how to set up the installation and configuration process, we do offer professional services, so you can contact us at sales@untangle.com to figure out how to get that set up and see what we can do to help make sure your deployment is successful. So just want to reiterate all of the resources that we have. We have our sales team, our support team. We have the wiki, which is all of our technical documentation. And we have the forums, which, as John mentioned, is our community that you can go and ask questions, ask other Untangle users. We have our full engineering team on there to help answer questions and help to make sure that you're able to get everything set up correctly for your particular deployment. You can view our upcoming webinars. We have them set up for the next couple months, so just check out and see if there's any topics that are of interest to you. You can check that out at untangle.com/webinars. So thanks, John. I know we had some issues at the end, so thanks everyone for hanging in there, and appreciate everyone joining us. Just a reminder, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to rewatch this later on. We'll be sending a follow-up email tomorrow morning, so don't worry about that. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much, everyone.